Hey folks, MasakoX here, and this is the story of what if Piccolo had a son, and you can catch up with the events of this adventure right here. In a faraway realm, an old Namekian was slowly walking toward a mirror of water. He was rarely interested in the events of the outside world. He was busy upholding an oath, but the disturbance he felt was interesting. It's been a good hot while since he felt it. As he raised his wrinkled arm over the smooth liquid reflection, he started murmuring an incantation. And very soon, instead of his own reflection, he saw an arena built by a frightfully powerful creature. The old man was sure that its power could rival the strength of some of the kings he knew about. This monster also had a pretty familiar ring about it, though it wasn't the source of the disturbance that he felt. No. That came later, within a crowd of rather impressive warriors. Two of them were Namekians, and one of them, well, reminded the elder of someone he once knew a long time ago. The other one, the elder smiled slightly. Oh, very, very interesting. As he was watching the introductions, the whole thing was about to unfold. Cell was looking rather proud at his accomplishment. They all came to witness his final victory, and not just a mere brutish carnage, but a truly magnificent duel between himself and Son Goku. The others might try to chime in, yes, but they all had to know what was the main course of this encounter. He had, of course, to remove this loudmouth bumbling man that referred to himself as Hercule. Maybe the announcement on public television was not the greatest idea. Well, at least throwing this man at the mountain was somewhat satisfying. However, he still had to show himself as a good host and say hello to these challengers. Welcome! How nice of you to come on time, and look, even the prince is here. Vegeta offered the bio-android an angry glare. Well, it seems that we have more fighters than I might have expected. But fear not, I am prepared. Everyone can get a shot at good old me. Now who's going to be going first? 16, Tien, Trunks, maybe your other future friend?
I can go first if you want.
Goku smiled wildly, to everyone's surprise. Oh, my dear Goku, you usually don't start the show with the finale, but if that's your wish. Cell was tasting every word. He was not disappointed. On the contrary, this would save him so much hassle, getting straight to the point. Maybe those fools realized that they only had one shot, and that shot was going to fail.
I just want to see what you got. I think we can all agree that you're crazy strong. I just wish to see how strong it is.
Goku was rather confident, eager, unsettlingly so. Is that wise, Goku? Piccolo turned his head to the Saiyan. He might have a trick or two up his sleeve, he said with a hushed tone.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going first. So our strongest guys, they can figure it out while I do the talking, he whispered to the Namekian.
Strongest? Wait, Goku, what does that even mean? But the Saiyan, he already had made a step toward the front and began doing his classic warm-up poses.
I'm ready, Cell. Bring it on.
The bio-android smiled menacingly. Oh, and he charged toward his opponent as they clashed in the air. The exchange of hits and attacks was rather impressive, and it totally absorbed future Takiko's attention.
I almost forgot how it was to witness that fight someone at this level.
Vegeta looked away, but deep down, he was rooting for Kakarot. His hatred for Cell was more immense than that. They were almost dancing in the relatively small ring of the arena, although it appeared that the host himself had started to grow weary of his own creation, as it seemed rather limiting. In a fickle display of emotions, he blew it up with a single attack that appeared as it was taken from Frieza's playbook.
It seems that all the hard work you did making this thing was for nothing, huh?
Goku tilted his head. My dear Goku, we all know that nothing else matters now that we have faced each other. You know this, your cheerleaders know this. It's just you and me in this final dance for the fate of the planet. There was a zealous flame in Zell's eyes and a great anticipation.
I can't help but think that you're greatly misreading the situation,
the Saiyan smirked. Cell was starting to utilize various techniques, such as the multiform technique and various other powers that those who watched the encounter were all too familiar with. Finally, in a lightning-fast move, the Saiyan used his instant transmission to fire up that famous Kamehameha up close and shot off the upper half of Cell's body, disintegrating. At least for a little while. The bio-android, of course, regenerated, eager for more, but then Goku opened his mouth and said,
Alright, I've seen that I'll need to know. I give up.
What? Cell and most of the fighters said almost in unison. He could not be serious. After all what they just witnessed, he couldn't just... What is the meaning of this? You promised me an unforgettable battle, Kakarot! The bio-android's facial features sharpened as he looked angrily at the Saiyan. His Vegeta was showing.
Oh yeah, you'll get it. I just realized that if we continue like this, we either destroy each other or the Earth. Far too risky. And, pretty close.
What? Wasn't that the point? Cell was heating inside. What did you think was going to happen? Who are you, and what have you done with the real Kakarot?
I'm alright. I know who I am. It's just, I'm not the strongest fighter in the group anymore. Far from it. We have a couple of ones who are even stronger.
The Saiyan smiled. What do you mean, a couple? Bio-android's eyes narrowed sharply.
Guys, who wants to fill in for me?
Goku, however, looked to Gohan, Takiko, and Bansuri specifically with a confident smile and a hint, something which annoyed both Cell and Piccolo. You can't seriously consider, the Namekian started.
I'll go,
his son interrupted him, nodding. But Bansuri, what are you? Piccolo looked at him, very, very concerned at what was about to happen.
Don't worry, Dad.
The youngster placed a hand firmly on his shoulder and walked toward the remnants of the arena.
I've got this.
No, I should have known. This is your little trick, Son Goku. You brought some poor primitive tribo from the planet Namek just so he can die for you. You also attempted to make him intimidate me earlier. Were you trying to play games with my head? Well, for that I can promise that his demise is going to be incredibly painful. Piccolo gave Goku an angry look, but the Saiyan leaned in closer and just said quietly,
Have faith in him. He's got it, and he wants to do it.
The Namekian was not sure what to make of this, as he saw his son remove his weighted clothing and standing in the pose that he had learnt from his father. It was very defiant. This was very weird. So, Bansuri, was it? Cell tilted his head, trying to be cordial and failing.
I'm flattered that you remember.
Yes, the young Namekian answered with a smile.
I want to make you a promise.
I'm listening.
By the end of this duel, before you're dead, you will learn to fear me again.
The angry glow in the bio-android's eyes was rather overwhelming. No, I don't think I will. Bansuri bowed his head.
Show me what you've got.
And Cell went in for the punch, just for his opponent to appear behind him and offer him a rolling kick in the back of the neck. As he was flying toward the ground, Bansuri sent a few ki blasts just for good measure. Angrily, Cell resorted to a flurry of energy attacks at taka, which were absolutely yoinked for Vegeta, but Bansuri was nowhere to be seen. Instead, he charged up to the front of his opponent and punched him in the gut, then stretched out his arm to send him flying even further. The bio-android spat out some purple blood as he tried to say something in protest. Bansuri silenced him with a throat chop and assumed a defensive position. Cell's eyes were bugging out. He should be excited by this, but the aura of his opponent was making him furious. He wasn't as passionate as Goku. Instead, he had that duty aura around him. Boring. And to make things worse, he just came from nowhere. What are you? Cell blurted out angrily, couldn't even form a sentence.
A vengeance from the future, just as you, except I will actually succeed.
Bansuri's eyes narrowed as he gave an elbow to Cell's face. Something clearly broke, but the Namekian kept on attacking. He didn't have to pull back, not anymore. His strikes were vicious to the point of making Piccolo utterly uncomfortable. I guess he had a lot of internal anguish, he muttered awkwardly.
Well, we witnessed a lot.
Takiko was also in disbelief, but wasn't surprised. To see his formerly little friend give punishment so severe to Cell, it almost felt unreal. You cannot do this to me, you little freak! I am the perfect, Cell yelled, but another throat chop made his words drown in the suffocating sound. Give up, Cell. Give up. Leave this planet and never return. Bansuri glared at him. The entity gave him a bloodied, manic smile and fell to his knees. Never. If I can't beat you, I'm going to take this planet with me! As he started to charge an attack toward the Earth's crust, Bansuri lifted him up with a telepathic strike, blasting him like a firework into the sky with a mighty Masenko. The explosion was quite potent due to Cell's own charged attack. Some small shards of the monster plummeted then to the ground. Is it over? Trunks looked over at the rest.
I'm not sure.
Gohan turned his head toward Piccolo.
Is it over, Mr. Piccolo?
Bansuri, the Namekian smiled.
It's okay, Dad. We're gonna be all right.
And before he could finish this sentence, a death beam pierced his arm. Everyone looked immediately shocked and upward by the sudden attack as Cell was standing far, far away. Gone was the manic expression. Instead, he had a lightning aura around him, and everyone could feel that somehow he had grown even stronger in just a few seconds. You should have made sure you evaporated every last bit. Thank you, Saiyan Biology. He appeared behind Bansuri and caught his wounded arm, twisting it behind his back, then grabbed his head with his other hand, pulling him back with great strength. Goku, Piccolo, Takiko, Vegeta, and the others moved forward to help him, but Cell moved even faster. Unlike you, Namekian, I can regenerate from one single cell. I have to thank you. This experience has powered me up even more. Are you afraid yet? Please tell me you are, as I am quite sure you will not be able to regenerate from this. Cell started cackling maniacally as he started to slowly load a ki blast into Bansuri's head. The old Namekian was watching the fight with great interest. Well, it seemed that this awful monster had to resort to cheating, or at least he was a rather sore loser. We cannot leave it like that, can we? He smiled to himself and he raised his cane, then he slammed it into the image in the water. The image grew distorted, but an orange light suddenly appeared. Oh, okay. He had failed. Instead of destroying Cell, he just made him stronger. Everyone was counting on him and he messed up. He was too smug, too full of himself, and now he was going to die. The last hope of his father and Kami from his timeline gone. But suddenly, he felt warmth. Initially, he thought that maybe dying wasn't as horrible as he had imagined, but the feeling started to overwhelm him. He could see that Cell suddenly became rather uneasy. Bansuri's skin started to turn orange, with his facial features going from sharpened to tough. This power, it wasn't his. It had been granted to him, lent. As Cell attempted to strike him, his newly healed arm simply ripped the limb that was holding him from the android's socket. The Cell-called perfect lifeform yelled in terror as Bansuri freed himself from his grasp, larger than before. Bansuri. Piccolo stopped in the mid-flight, seeing this radiant aura coming from his son. No. Cell's eyes widened. That's cheap! You can't be doing this to me! This can't be happening! Bansuri's eyes narrowed as he started to charge an attack. Thanks for the advice. This time, I will make sure to vaporize everything. Bansuri shot out multiple projectiles into the air. Cell attempted to make a run for it, but it was happening way too fast to make any dent, as a powerful barrage of Hellzone grenades started to cluster, attacking his body, burning in holes. It's not fair! It's not fair! He uttered as they started to burn out everything that he was, faster than he was able to regenerate. The last thing that he saw was this orange Namekian, burning brightly like the sun, looking at him with a stern and calm look. Then, he was no more. Bansuri turned his head to his friends, the aura slowly leaving him as soon as it had appeared, as he quickly regained his previous look. Is it over? Is Cell really gone? Krillin uttered.
That was amazing!
Goku clapped.
What are you gonna call this, huh? Super Namekian? Orange Namekian?
Bansuri shook his head.
Whenever that was, it wasn't me. I nearly messed up, Dad.
He turned his head to Piccolo. His father embraced him and placed a hand on his shoulder. Whatever that was, Cell's gone. I think we won, son. But Bansuri wasn't calm. He was embarrassed by his loss. This didn't feel like a victory, not really. Something had helped him, and he was quite sure that deep inside, that something was calling out to him, almost like this was a hello. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.